This meeting is being recorded.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. We have an awesome duo. You might notice their last names are the same. So we have a reverse mortgage specialist, Cicely Carda, on with her dad, Ron. So Cicely, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself and why your dad is on here. And then Ron, you introducing yourself too.
Hi, I'm Cicely Carda, and I am a reverse mortgage advisor with Reverse Loan Solutions. And I brought my dad on here today because I did a reverse mortgage for him a couple of years ago, and he still tells me today how excited and happy he is that he has one. So this is my dad, Rod.
Hey Ron, thanks for joining us today. So
Thank
can
you.
you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Ron Carda. I taught mathematics, mostly calculus, for 33 years in Jefferson County, which is a county just outside of Denver, Colorado. And yeah, I got a reverse mortgage about 2 years ago from my daughter because I was educated on how beneficial it would be for me.
That is incredible. So either one of you, how did that process start?
Well, I was friends with a woman who was also a reverse mortgage specialist. And she kept asking me, what about you, Ron? Why don't you get a reverse? I said, well, I don't need a reverse mortgage. What good is that? I pay my house payment, no problem. And she kept saying, well, you should get one. But she really didn't explain a lot of what the benefits are of that for me. And so I kept thinking about it. And then when my daughter became a reverse mortgage specialist, she told me more, and I got more and more educated about it. And I said, oh my gosh, this is something I need to do.
Yeah, I told him, I said, let me just practice my presentation, and I used his numbers, and I brought my brother over too, so he could understand it as well, because I felt like it's kind of a family thing. Like we are inheriting what my dad leaves us. So I wanted him involved, and I just gave him the presentation and then let it be. And then a couple of weeks later, he called and told me, you know what, I'm going to do that. And so that was really exciting for me because I wasn't expecting that at all. And one thing that he said, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. And then after he understood it all, he's like, you know what, I don't need it, but I want it. And so that was what was the cool thing. It's like, okay, yeah, he doesn't need it, but the fact that he wants it, because it's just, he's young enough that he is still very, very active, and I wanted to see him happy and be able to have the additional money if he needs it while he's still young and still mobile and living in his own house and everything. So I thought that was important to me, not, what is my dad leaving me?
I had lots of questions concerning what happens at the end of the time when I would have this reverse mortgage, what benefits I get out of it. There's all kinds of different things that were never explained to me until Cicely explained them as to what was going on. And I found out that no, I did not need it, but it's so beneficial to me at my age right now that I'd rather have the extra money because there's no mortgage payment. I'd rather have that now than say when I'm 90. I'd be able to use that money now as part of my home liquid money rather than getting money from my house at 90 and going, what should I do with this? So it's just a lot more beneficial now.
Yeah, I didn't even know you were a calculus guy. That is even more impressive. So what did you think about the reverse before you started to look into it? And what did you learn that surprised you?
Well, before I looked into it, I really didn't understand. I thought, well, it just eliminates my mortgage payment. Big deal. I can make my mortgage payment. I have no problem with that. But I didn't understand anything else about it. And I was like, okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. But when I started to think about the future and the impact it would have on my life right now and the benefits now, it just totally changed my mind. is like, oh my gosh, this is such a much more beneficial now to be able to use the money that is in equity in my house than say when I'm 90, 20 years from now.
Or never.
Or never, never.
Or
be able to use it.
never. And then to me, I feel like these, like people have, I either own my house free and clear. I have $500,000 equity. Well, so what?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing with that? This is
Yeah.
a way that you're able to use that money. Like
Using
I
it
said,
now.
while you're,
Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. I'd rather be having the money so I could go do something with it now than 20 years or even 10 years from now. What am I, who knows? It's a lot easier to deal with some extra money now. Makes all the difference in the world. And that's what helped me. Plus the benefits are I have a line of equity or what is it called? Line of credit?
line of credit.
Line of credit, which I can access if I want to. The value of my house is also going up, as well as my mortgage pay, or my, what do you call that, Cicely? It's not
The line
mortgage.
of credit, right?
No, the amount of principal on my house.
Your
That's
principal.
the principal is increasing, but so is my appreciation on my house. So I'm going to still have a lot of equity in the house.
Right.
So,
Was that part of the
Exactly.
conversation with your brother involved too, Cicely? That like, hey, it's not one or the other. We can have both.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
it doesn't matter to me. So as I looked into it more and more, and the fact that even if, the market went completely upside down, if I was upside down at the end of this period, that I could walk away free and clear from the principal.
And
No
so can
problem.
your heirs. Cicely, can
Yeah.
you speak to that a little bit? The security I'd imagine you feel as an heir, knowing it's
Yes.
just the house.
Yes. I was telling him, like, my brother and I are very similar. Like, we agreed that, okay, we're not greedy. We want him to be happy while he's alive. That's what I care about. And so he's in a 55 plus community, and neither my brother or I are 55 yet. So even if something were to happen to him tomorrow, today, whenever, we couldn't even live there. And I don't even know that we would want that house anyway. But the fact that if for some reason the market just tanks and the value is not there anymore, we don't have to pay that difference. Like, we do not owe that bill once my dad is gone. We can walk away, or we can buy it back at 95% of the appraised value if we wanted to keep it.
Can you talk a little more about that? That's a feature that so many people have no idea exists.
Yes. So the FHA insurance that is paid, basically it covers that. So if your value of your home just goes below what the balance is owed on the loan, then we can get an appraisal, and whatever it appraises for, we can like basically refinance it into our own names and keep the house at 95% of the value. So there's another protection that, a traditional mortgage, we would owe it, that would be put onto us. It's not get to make these choices. And if it doesn't go upside down, we get to decide if we want to keep it, we refinance it into our own name, or we sell it. And after fees, realtor fees and taxes and whatever, then we get to keep the remaining money that is in excess of what's owed on the loan. So it's like such a win. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's so secure.
And I think that was one thing that he was like, oh, so you don't lose my house. We don't lose all the equity. We would still
Still
get
have it.
something.
Mhm.
Right? Because the house is still appreciating, regardless of what financing you have on it. The house
Right.
is going to go up and down, up and down. And even if you are upside down, if you're still living in it, you have that security. It
Right.
only matters if you happen to pass away during that time. But the people who had reverse mortgages through 2008, 2009, their houses came back, nothing was affected. It's not like the HELOCs where they freeze them during that
Mhm.
time frame.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a win-win. And I'm benefiting and I love it. I think it's just something that made a lot of sense to me. Being a mathematical teacher and professor, and I also did a lot of work with computer programming. The logic behind it is so simple. So, okay, do this.
So many of our viewers have no idea what you're talking about. Can you go into that a little more? Because a math professor, I had no idea. Thank you, Cicely. This is the best ever.
Yes.
When you look at all the various aspects of a reverse mortgage and you put it all together, which is what we've been talking about, you're looking at it saying, why don't I do this? Why wouldn't I do this? It just makes it's just common sense. I could have gone along the rest of my life paying my mortgage, and then who knows, paying off the house, and probably would have paid this off in maybe another 10, 15 years, who knows? And then in 15 years, when I'm 88, 89, I still have equity in the house, and where's that money going to go? It's not going to, I'm not using it, which would have been nice. And who knows the other thing is, what if something comes up in the next 5, 10 years, or even tomorrow? What if something comes up where, oh my gosh, an extra $1,000, $1,500 sure be nice to have. You just don't know. So it's big time security. It's big time. It makes just so much sense. And I'm not. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, one thing you had told me is he has a lot of spreadsheets and everything, and I'm pretty sure you told me that because of your line of credit and not having to make the principal and interest payment, that you're like actually making even more money than, or there's more money in your pocket. Maybe you can,
yeah.
but I can't remember exactly how you explained that.
Well, I was probably looking at the mathematics on it based upon appreciation and the amount of interest, so to speak, that is added to the loan. And the differential is so minor. It's just so minor that it's like, who cares? And besides that, I don't care how much the house is worth, down the line, in 10, 15, 20 years. I don't care, because it's protected, and whatever equity is in there, I'll either get to move on to someplace, or if I happen to keel over, then the kids will get that. And if it's upside down, the kids don't have to worry. That's logic. It's security.
Absolutely. Okay, so big question here. How has your life changed since you got your reverse mortgage?
Well, like Cicely said, I have more money in my pocket. I'm able to look down the line at, let's see, geez, I'd like to travel. I would like to put money maybe to a new car at some point. I can use that money for various things that I probably wouldn't been able to do. And those kinds of things would be big items like travel, car, various things like that. Or I can't think right now, but those are the two things. I'd be able to use that money for things that would be a little more out of my range if I didn't have that. Let's just say that.
So Cicely had mentioned you're a pretty active guy.
Oh, yeah.
So in your day to day, without, the big events, everybody has the big travel, the big car purchases, but just day to day, what's your experience like? Is it any different than before?
Not right now. It's just that I just feel better overall. I just feel like, okay, I'm not having to worry about money. I have extra money. I'm not like, oh, I can't do this because if I do that, I'm going to be a little bit in the red. I don't want to do that. It's a security feeling. You're like, oh, I have some extra money. I'm good to go. I don't have to worry now. And not that I worry that much, but it's just better. It's just nicer to have that little extra money. And the fact that everything's secure, like I keep saying, that's the difference of how I feel.
And Cicely, I've got to ask you, how do you feel hearing your dad say that?
I feel great because, like I said, I want him to be happy for the rest of his time here on earth, because that's what's important to me, not the equity in his house. He is happy and healthy and isn't stressed about money. He can take that. You told me you wanted to go to Australia, first class, and now this is like a way that maybe he'd have to really buckle down and start saving, but because he's not having to make that payment or that line of credit to, maybe buy a newer car later on, that makes me feel good, because while he's alive and I want him to be happy, and I can see that he is much happier and less stress
It's just less
by
stress.
not having
Less
not
stress.
having that payment.
All right, Ron, what are you going to do in Australia? I can't wait till you go on that trip and I see pictures.
She should have said New Zealand. Okay.
Oh, New Zealand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would like to go to New Zealand. I mean, that's one thing. And it'd be nice not to fly coach to New Zealand for 24 hours, type of thing. It'd be nice to have a little extra money to fly where you can get some sleep. Those are just little things, but boy, if you're going to do something, you want to do it, make it relaxing, type of thing. That's one thing. Or, various things like that. And it just makes a lot different to have that, just that little bit of extra security, a little bit extra, oh, good. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, or the comfort. I mean, that's a long flight.
Yeah, if you're going to do something like that, might as well, invest a little extra money and really make it worth your while. So, I'm going to Spain this next fall, and with some buddies, we're going to ride e-bikes in the Pyrenees, and we booked we could have booked first class, but we booked business class, which is a lot nicer. Pay the extra money. Great, it's fabulous. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so exciting. You're really doing it. You're living the dream.
Little things like that makes a big.
Yeah.
I didn't think twice about it. My buddy says, let's just book the business class. Okay, yeah, $1,000 more, but hey, that's fine. That's great.
Oh, that's gotta feel so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
That is awesome. All right, for our viewers who are maybe skeptical, or fear is kind of a common thing. You're a math guy, so it sounds like you went right into the numbers and said, all right, let me figure this out. But for somebody who doesn't have that kind of mind, what's your best advice for them?
Again, get somebody that can really lay it out for you based upon the numbers that client gives you, and saying, if you do this, these are the benefits. This is what happens at the end, because they want to know, am I going to be in big trouble at some point? If I do this, how is that going to affect me 2, 5, 10 years down the road? That's what they're going to want to know. They want to know, am I going to be in trouble? Am I going to have to pay this or that, or what's going to happen to my family and if we do this? That's the biggest thing, the education. And it has to be clear and concise for these people. It took a while for me to really see the benefits.
And you're a math guy. I mean, that is big to me.
That's I can do the numbers, but somebody says you're going to have an extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month. Well, how do I get that? And
Right.
What happens in my house? I talk, my friends, we talk to them and they wouldn't consider it. But some of them have free and clear houses. Some of them don't have too much mortgage to pay. But for me, it's like, yeah, let's do this.
I think part of that was they might be at the same thing as you. I don't need it, because they're teachers, they're retired teachers. They get that pension, right? Is that, it's a big difference. But once you were educated with your numbers, I think that's what changed it for you. And you did learn more. Yeah, what happens at the end. But the fact that I used your numbers and not just, oh, well, this is what happens, and then you could see it on paper. Oh, well, this is, for me. I think that might change things. If you're,
yeah, you see a spreadsheet that says, here's how much your house is going to be worth in 10 years. Here's how much you'll owe on it. You're going, I have about the same equity in 10 years I do now. How am I going to benefit from this? It's not going to change much.
mm-hmm.
That's a great point. In so many markets.
I said, when you do that actuary table, and shows what your house is worth in 10 years, plus what you probably owe in 10 years, based upon a variable interest rate, you're going, oh, not much difference.
Well, and the expected appreciation I mean, you're in a market that appreciates, and
Right.
a lot of our projections are very conservative. So
Right.
like I'm in San Diego, a lot of my clients actually get more appreciation than I even project because we use the national standard, and there's a lot of markets that have higher appreciation than that.
San Diego, sure. So you start looking at those numbers, you're going, this makes so much sense.
It does. It
Makes
just makes sense.
Yes.
It helps
Edu-
that you have a daughter that could explain it all and hang in there with you.
Education is the key. A good, concise, clear education of how this works makes a difference.
Oh, that's
Yes.
very cool.
Mhm.
All right, so I have a big question for you guys. I'm gonna ask Ron this one. So Ron, if you could change one thing about the American retirement, what would it be?
As I was saying, the education of our younger generation, anywhere from high school through college, those years have to be presented to those kids somewhere along the line about the importance of saving money and investing and doing things for future. The future makes all the difference. You can't expect to be 60 and all of a sudden, oh, I really like to retire, but I have to get another job. You have to have that education. And that education has got to be taught probably junior, senior high school, maybe freshman, senior through senior years in college. Somewhere that has to be taught, that you need to see what's going on in the world and start dealing with retirement early than late.
That's such a great answer. I have a finance degree, and I think back as you say that, and I wasn't taught how to manage my own finances, my own retirement. I was taught how to merge two big companies together, something that information I won't ever use.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's not the career I chose. I mean, it could have been a cool one, but like retirement planning would have been much more appropriate for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Cicely, how about you? If you could
Well,
change the American retirement, what would it be?
I agree with him. I was thinking that that high schools need, like junior and senior year need to have some kind of classes that are like life classes, like what happens when you leave your parents, because I didn't know. I had to figure it out, and some things I didn't do right and had to learn from that. And I really think he's absolutely right. I don't know that there are classes in school, so I think it's up to us parents that we do need to somehow incorporate that into their lives and get them to understand that, you may not be getting a big inheritance, or, you need to save for this. And the sooner you do save, the better it's going to be for you in the end. And we are living longer,
Yeah.
you're living longer, so you need more funds, or you're going to have to work longer. And I think, learning about owning a house too, because it is one thing that most of the time it's going to appreciate. Buying that fancy sports car most likely isn't, but your house is going to appreciate. So I think he's really right about the education. And maybe, depending on how close you are in your family, incorporating everyone in the family. Like I brought my brother in for this because I wanted him to understand it, and pretty sure he's excited when he turns the appropriate age that he can do one as well. So
They do have those classes in high school, but they're not required for everybody, and they're not thorough.
right. That's
They're around.
Yeah, if somebody decides to take that class, it's optional.
Right, it's completely volunteer. And by the time you're a junior and senior in high school, you're like, And then if you go to college, I'm not even sure they have them in college. Like maybe if you're getting a financial degree, something like that, they probably do. But if you're going to a trade school, no, they don't have those in trade school. Things like that. So pretty remote.
I would love to see
exactly.
that change. That would be an amazing change for our country.
Yeah, someday, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you both coming on. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience before we wrap this up?
Just look into it if you have a chance.
Yeah, it's no charge. I'm happy. I'm happy to do your proposal presentation for you. I do a video, explain it. Watch it 10 times. You can share it with anyone you want, and it's free. There's no credit check at that point. So it's like, you look at it. If you hate it, you put it in the trash, or you look into it and you call me back and want to know more and look into it more.
Awesome. And if anybody's watching this and they want to get in touch with Cicely, what states are you currently licensed in?
I am currently licensed in Colorado, Arizona, and Washington State. And it's, my email is Cicely, Cicely .Carda, Carda at reverseloansolutions.com. And my phone number is 720-635-4021.
And there's a link below this video where you can get in touch. And if you didn't hear that, write it down, click on the link. You can get in touch with Cicely that way. Well,
Awesome.
thank you both so much. And I'm just so impressed. Thank you so much for bringing a
Yes,
math
thank you.
professor on. My gosh. Thank you for your time, Ron. And I hope you have the best time in Spain and New Zealand.
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.